Okay, year 10, so we're picking back up from yesterday's lesson. You should have by now come up with points 1, 2, and 3 supported by a study, statistics, and a pro quote for each one of the tasks on the page. Okay, so the one that we're going to carry forward is task 3. And we're going to be looking at designing the introduction. So task 3, you've been asked to deliver a talk in assembly about dangerous driving. So your introduction is informed by your 3 points. After all, they are what you are trying to introduce. Now, how would you start your introduction? You need to hook them in. Now, hooking them in is to engage your reader straight off. One way to do that is to think of 3 words or 3 phrases associated with your title and respond to it. So here's my example below. It was only one text. We only chatted for 5 minutes. A cheeky pint or two will not make a difference. What might seem like something small at the time can have hugely devastating consequences. Okay. Now, the reason I've done that to hook them in is because I think they're 3 very relatable comments. I've heard them from a number of friends, unfortunately, where they seem to justify what could be a really, really bad decision with something really small and minor. So it was only one text. It's a very relatable statement because the majority of drivers have access to a mobile phone, and in our generation now, we spend a lot of our lives on them. So even if it's something as long as we only chatted for 5 minutes, what seems like an innocent act, I need to show has devastating consequences. So I've come up with 3 quite relatable phrases for people, things that they can kind of find commonality with. And I've used them as my 3 phrases to start. Now you could use 3 words, irresponsible, and then 2 other words to carry on from it. I've gone with 3 phrases. And then I've added my own opinion to that. What might seem like something small at the time can have hugely devastating consequences. Now, once you've done this, you can introduce what you're going to cover by summing up the 3 main points that you did in your previous lesson. So here it is. So the 3 points that I'm going to cover are using your mobile phone whilst driving. So I'm looking at that, about the dangers of driving of using your mobile phone, conversing over hands-free, and driving under the influence of alcohol. Oh, you notice I've done a spelling mistake there. It should be D-R-I-V-I-N-G, not without the I. Okay, and I've tried to colour code it for you as well to be able to see. So here's my 3 phrases or words associated with the task to hook my listener in. It was only one text. We only chatted for 5 minutes. A cheeky pint or 2 won't make a difference. Here's my response to those 3 phrases or words, and they link to the title and express my viewpoint. What might seem like something small at the time can have hugely devastating consequences. I need to alert you to the dangers of, and here I'm going to summarise my 3 main points, using your mobile phone whilst driving, conversing over hands-free, and driving under the influence of alcohol. And then I'm going to finish with a nice emotive sentence. What might seem like obvious information is still at the root of thousands of road traffic accidents every year. Alright, so I've gone with the thousands of road traffic accidents every year. It's not quite a statistic. It's more emphasis, so it's more hyperbole than it is anything else. Although there are a lot of road traffic accidents every year resulting from using mobile phones. Now, if you are looking with higher mark, you might want to use a different phrase. So I've used what might seem like twice. It's quite clumsy writing, so you just want to make sure that you are maybe producing something a little bit more well thought through than that. It's just an example for you to see 3 phrases, my response, the summary of the points, and the emotive finishing. Alright, so I want you to get that down, and I want you to annotate it like I've done colour-coded as well. Okay. Once you've done that, I want you to go and design your own introduction based on the 3 points that you decided. You don't have to use my 3, you could use your own 3. So whatever 3 points you came up with in the last lesson for task 3, which was you've been asked to deliver a talk in an assembly about dangerous driving. Whatever 3 points you came up with, that's what you're going to write about in this purple section. I need to alert you to the dangers of and whatever your 3 points were. Now those 3 points are what are going to gear your main body of your writing, like we said, point 1, point 2, point 3. Okay, so you need to take some time now to write out your introduction. So you're going to want to pause the video here. Okay, so moving on. Once you've designed that introduction, we're going to look at developing the points. Now, this is going to take a little bit of time to write, and it might go over a 2-lesson period for you. Okay, you've been asked to deliver a talking assembly about dangerous driving. We've done our introduction. Now you've got your clear structure and your introduction. You must think about developing your 3 main points. Let's take point 1. Okay, so I've written a paragraph down there and I want you to complete the tasks that are highlighted in yellow. I want you to annotate and discuss the paragraph. Now you can discuss with somebody over Teams, or if you're really stuck, you could discuss with your teacher, and the emails can be found in your Teams groups. I want you to consider how this is developed. I haven't just left it with the supporting study, I've developed it. How have I done that? What devices have I used and why have I used them? So it's all well and good putting in a rhetorical question, but does it have any impact? If it doesn't, then it probably shouldn't be there. So make sure you know why you've used a device. What could you use in your next paragraphs and what could you change? So is there anything that you think, oh, I like that at the model, I'm going to pinch that maybe and then use that device for myself? Or do you think there's something that you could do better? What I also want you to think about is how you're going to move from this paragraph into your next point. How are you going to have a leading sentence into your next paragraph? Okay, so mine's going to be texting and driving. So if you remember from my introduction, it was about using your phone while driving. And I'm focusing particularly on texting. So this is point 1, supported with a study. And I've gone straight in with that evidence on this one. Studies show that the leading cause of death amongst new drivers is texting and driving. It is shocking that the text generation are so committed to surfing social sites and updating their every movement that they can't sustain a 30-minute journey without tapping into their technological devices. Are we really that addicted that we put our lives at risk to respond to that Snapchat or that group message? Studies show that we are. We need to stop. Put that phone on silent, put it in your bag, and put your life at the top of your priority list. For if you don't, you're putting your life on the line. So I want you to look at those questions now above in the yellow and annotate them, look at how it's developed, what devices have been used and why, and what you would be able to use in your own writing, and how I'm going to join it onto the next paragraph. Okay, so I'm going to lead nicely from this paragraph into point 2. So that is your model for point 1. Once you've annotated that, and once you've discussed it, and once you've looked at it, and you've looked at the devices and thought about what you're going to steal for your own, you're going to write your own point 1 with a supporting study, point 2 with your fact or statistic, and point 3 with your pro quote. And that's going to be joined onto your introduction from the earlier slides. Okay, so you're going to want to pause that there to take your time now to write. It's going to take you a considerable amount of time to write this because it'll be the first time that you're attempting something like that. And you're more than welcome to take the hour to write this. It should take about 2 hours for you to write in total. However, in the exam, you will only have half an hour. So it's worth us looking at this in depth now so that we can obviously speed up the process a little bit later on. Okay, so our conclusion. A conclusion should mirror and answer the introduction. So I've reiterated the 3 phrases. Having listened to the dangers of driving, can you really say it was only one text? You only chatted for 5 minutes? A cheeky pint or 2 will not make a difference? Then I'm re-emphasising my point. These selfish comments and thoughtless acts can have devastating consequences. I hope from this you realise the impact of using your mobile whilst driving, conversing over hands-free and driving under the influence of alcohol. Finish with that emotive sentence. Just one text, one conversation, one drink too many. So if you notice, they all link to my 3 points, can be the difference between life and death when sitting behind the wheel. Alright, now I want you to get that copied out as well as your model conclusion. And then I want you to think of something similar and write something similar for your conclusion. Okay, so in its entirety, that would have taken your 2 lessons. Once it's done, you need to make sure that you get your speech sent across to your teacher on Teams via the assignment button. Okay, so that's going to be put on there as an assignment and it will be to be submitted on Teams. Okay, well done, Year 10.